we won't back down. So yes, we'll stand our ground. We won't be pushed around. We must keep you from putting our kids in the ground. So we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've gotta stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've gotta stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
All right, we want to welcome everybody. I'm waiting for Ed to get on here. There he is. And I see people rolling in. Virginia Beach and Franklin County. We're all over the state.
So you guys, but when we get started here, you can share this video that we've got going here by just sharing our YouTube channel from VCDL, which is youtube.com/C/Virginia Citizens Defense League. And I can type that out for you, but I'll have to grab it here. I just want to make sure that we got everything going here.
So we've got Pat Webb on tonight and Bruce Jackson along with me, the president, this evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Good thing you told them that, Philip. They might not know.
They may not know who you are.
Some people don't know people don't know who people are all the time.
Yeah,
especially with so many new members and everybody being virtual and things like that. So it's always good to say.
I got to admit, I appreciate that. I appreciate when I go to a gun store and I go walking past a table and somebody tries to recruit me. I may sign up someday.
Probably should. We could use your membership.
Use my membership. You already got my garage, my living room, my dining room, my front hallway, my entire basement.
I'm sure we could find some area we don't have. We'll just have to look around a little bit. I can see some empty space behind you there.
And for those of you that don't know, Bruce is our stuff guy. So when you order a shirt or a hat or stickers or something, it comes from Bruce. Literally comes from Bruce's house.
Yes,
And
I am the warehouse.
I have to say, that is dedication.
Yep. I've been to his house, and there's plenty of stuff there.
I will say it was very dedicated last year around Lobby Day. That was insane.
Well,
so
Well, this year at Lobby Day was pretty insane.
Well, Bruce, do you have any stuff that you're overloaded on that you're trying to sell that you want to advertise right now?
Yeah. Let me. I don't think I took them all back. Let me run get a couple of car flags. I'll be right back.
Okay, and then I guess we can talk about some of the things on my list. Is kind of what went on in the legislative agenda and some strange things that happened at Loudon, where we had some formerly anti-gun Democrats kind of voting our way on some things, and what's going on with our website. We got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, a lot of stuff coming up.
So you want to kick that off, Philip? Or
Okay.
you want Pat to go first?
No, I can kick it off. Well, right now, legislatively, we're waiting for the governor to finish signing bills, and the problem there is that we have to wait because he could change the bills. Looks like Bruce is back. There's one of the flags.
I can't believe all the flags are printed
Keep talking,
sideways.
Okay, so yeah, so that's two sides of the same flag, right?
Yeah, this is one of the ones that has the double, the two different logos on it. We also have them with the Minuteman, the same on both sides, and we have it with the GSL on both sides as well. We don't have them in the store yet. That should be coming at some point. I got to talk to Pat about a few things. So I don't know what's been released for public consumption, so I can't ask the question I need to ask to figure out when these will get posted.
Well, I see Bruce is logged in with a second account again because I see a Bruce is amazing in the comments. So
That's a different Bruce.
What, you haven't got the other 5 yet?
So anyhow, like I say, we're waiting on the governor. He could change some bills. So this isn't over till it's over. He's got a few bills on his desk. He did sign the bill that lets people who were trying to get a concealed handgun permit using an online training class. That did get signed, and that was effective immediately about a week ago. So anybody that's in that mode, you can go back to the circuit court clerk now. And if you couldn't do it before because of COVID restrictions on getting into the building, but you had your little online certificate, you can now go back and file and get your permit rolling. So that.
But for clarification, you can't go take the online course now if you just missed it. This is if you took it back when you could, and for some reason you couldn't take your certificate and go apply because of COVID. You had to be caught up in that, right?
We had a lot of people that were caught up exactly in that. Yeah, you can't do it now, but if you did it in the past and couldn't get to the clerk's office because of COVID restrictions at the end of the year, and the clock ran out on January 1, they've moved the clock now out to April 30th. So there's still a couple of months that one could apply for your permit. Not sure why you'd wait that long, but you do have that option. So there are a series of bills, and very soon that period is over. I want to say it's the end of March is when he has to decide. Then there's a veto session. So should he have vetoed anything or changed anything, then that will be reconsidered in early April, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the date on that yet. So we're waiting till all the dust settles and everything's done before we do anything. At that point, I'm going to go ahead and do a voting record. So we've got a lot of votes we can count on this, and we'll have a handle on voting records for the elections coming up November 2nd of this year. Major elections in Virginia, not to be missed.
Yeah, Virginians definitely need to vote in all elections.
Yep.
So somebody's complaining about how noisy the flags are. Love them, but I can't stand them when my car is moving. So we need to get a suppressor for the flags.
Silencers.
They
definitely
actually make those. There's
Well, I thought that's what they made a radio for.
Yeah, well,
That too.
You have a noise in
And
the
then-
car you don't want to hear, you just turn up the radio, right?
Send us a
That'll
$200
fix it.
donation, and we will send you a stamp and a silent flag.
But maybe you could put plastic on it or something to make it rigid. I don't know if that would help or not. They definitely make noise, but see, the noise gets attention too.
Just turn up your
People
radio.
coming.
So people a lot in the social media
many years
world,
ago when I used to skydive. Go ahead, Ed.
I was just say a lot of people ask via the social media about a lot of the federal bills, and I kind of answer, follow along with Gun Owners of America, because we don't really look at federal, but we certainly watch them, and we will put out in alerts if there's contact your Congress representative if there's things that we need you to click on. But generally, we partner with Gun Owners of America for the federal stuff.
Yeah, we indeed have put out a couple of our own alerts on that, having people contact first their representatives, and now we've had them contact our two illustrious senators. And we've got 3 bills that we're keeping a careful eye on. 2 have cleared the House, and that's universal background checks and extending the number of days that the government can drag its heels while doing a background check. And those 2 are in the Senate now. And we're hoping that if the filibuster stays in place, that those will die. We'll see. It's a real, everything's a battle now. And
So how do the criminals register to do their universal background check? I don't have that in my notes.
yeah, they can do it while in prison, I think. I don't, I'm sure there's a provision in there somewhere. I noticed that they're giving voting rights back to felons now. But I bet you they didn't give back any gun rights. How much you want to bet on that? So
you jest about it, Philip, but you really ought to straight up tell the people that, so they understand that a criminal by law does not have to register their guns.
right, yeah, that's
self-incrimination under the Fifth Amendment.
That's right.
Same thing with the background check. You can't require them to take a background check because it would be self-incrimination.
Yeah, all they can do is hopefully catch them when they say, "Oh, I'm not a criminal," and then get them on perjury, which I think they do. Anyhow, the other bill out there is our beloved Senator Feinstein from California, who has put in an assault weapon ban again for the nth time. This one she's tried to sweeten up with a bunch of grandfathering, but unacceptable. Can't do it. Won't give away the next generation's rights. But she really, she's going, if you look in your little gun cabinets, I guarantee you're going to have a few things in there, maybe quite a few, that she will make it so that, you won't be able to, I think what there, as I recall in the bill, your grandfathered, the guns, if they're transferred to anybody, have to go through a background check anywhere in the United States. There will be no new rifles in that category that will be available. In a way, it's kind of like on a large scale of what they did with machine guns. Very similar, except they're not requiring the $200 tax stamp yet. Guarantee, it's never over. Don't ever think, well, okay, so that's what it does. Oh no, there'll be far more coming. And it was Feinstein when she first did this, that she tried the first bill back in the the early 2000s, that she was on television saying, if I'd gotten a few more votes, I would have been saying, okay, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn in your guns. So even back then, she was all in for confiscation. In her older age, she hasn't mellowed any.
As long as it doesn't ban the shoulder things that go up.
Well, that was another brilliant another brilliant person from Mensa that was in Congress. She was banning something. She had no idea what it was. Is it the thing that goes up? No. She was talking about a barrel shroud. She didn't know what it was.
Tucker Carlson. Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, you can go look at Tucker Carlson and search for the shoulder thing that goes up, and you'll see that little clip. While we're talking about background checks, I want to clarify one thing also that we did get a small win on, is they in Virginia they are requiring background checks even for private sales, but a 19-year-old can't get a background check from a dealer because he's not 21. So you want to explain? Yeah, so that got worked out where they can still do a private sale without a background check, right?
Yes, for handguns.
Right.
So if you're 18 to 20, and you're buying a handgun from somebody, which would be secondhand, or a gift, or a friend giving you the gun, or family giving you a gun, you don't have to go through a background check. You're exempt, and the person selling it to you is exempt. So no background checks on that.
But they can't buy it from a straight up dealer.
No, that's still federal law. It's again, it's the one I laugh at all the time because we hear monotonously over and over where everybody needs to go through a background check. But when it came to 18 to 20-year-olds, they were never allowed to go through a background check under federal law. Everybody else was required to do it, but the 18 to 20-year-olds would not go through it because they couldn't buy a gun from a dealer, a handgun. And so it's one again, a great example of just how stupid these laws are and the people that pass them.
Well, so I see it's because we're talking about background checks. KMAC Radio just wants to know, is the VCDL against background checks?
We don't see a need for background checks, quite frankly. Yeah, if they got rid of background checks, would anybody on this board care? The answer is no. We'd probably go out and celebrate. Go ahead,
I look at it this way. A background check is requiring you to prove your innocence before you can exercise a constitutionally protected right. So you are assumed guilty until you prove your innocence. And so to me, that's wrong. First off, it doesn't stop criminals from getting guns. There's no background check if you go out and steal a gun. There's no background check if you get somebody else to buy the gun for you in a straw purchase. Both of those things are against the law. So the background checks don't stop criminals from committing crimes, but what they do is violate one constitutional right in order for you to exercise another constitutional right.
They also don't work, Pat. 95% of them are false hits.
Yeah.
And what happens is they search for names in the database phonetically. So if there's somebody that's got a name that sounds like yours, and there's a good chance, we got 330 million people, and they've got a lot of, we got our share of criminals. There are going to be people who sound like your name, and if they do, then they've got to delay you. Well, they double check that you're not the person that's coming up, and sometimes people have to wait 3 days for a background check to clear. And after 3 days, although it's more like 6 days in real time, you can get your gun. And by the way, they've done that. Last year, there wasn't a single case where a gun was released like that, where the timer ran out. The government was taking so long to do the background check. There wasn't a single case in 2020 where that gun was given to somebody and they had to go take it back because it turned out when the background check finally completed that the person was a criminal.
Well, the issue I have with background checks also is if they wanted to do a check and go, okay, is Ed a good guy or bad guy? He can have a gun or not, and do the background check on me, then maybe I'm okay with that. But once they want to record my make, model, serial number, color, and everything else, it's like, why do you need all that to do a background check on me? You really want to know what guns I have and where I bought them and who I bought them from and what they shoot and what their serial numbers are. That has nothing to do with the background check on me. That's creating a database of all the stuff that I own.
Exactly. Right. You're not a bad guy because you own number 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, Bruce.
I got it. My thing is if they truly believe in background checks, okay, fine. But background check everybody. Put it on my driver's license along my motorcycle endorsement where I get a background check endorsement and I can walk into Pat's store, throw my card down. She says, oh, he's got a gun endorsement. Here's your gun. Here's your cash. And we are done. If it was just about a background check, they would do everybody one time. If they wanted to do it once a year, however they did it, they would automate it. But there's no requirement to do it at the store. So they are not serious
the day
about
after you
it.
get your background check
checks are not.
The day after you get your background check,
Go ahead,
Bruce,
Ed.
you'll probably become a criminal.
Well,
Well,
it's
here's-
happened 2 or 3 times, Pat, in my past. So what are you going to do?
Here's also how ludicrous this is. If you go into a gun store and you buy a gun, you do the background check and you pay for the gun. And then as you're walking out the door, you see another gun. You say, whew, I didn't see that. I want to buy that gun too. You have to do a whole nother background check. I mean, like you committed a crime in the last 30 seconds, really? And why do they need to know your race and gender and all of that stuff? I mean, the whole concept of this, first off, it's racist in its roots. If it wasn't, why would they even ask your race? But it's totally unconstitutional, if you ask me.
And Richard Bonham is asking about, and this is probably for you, Pat, although I could answer it too, about why some approvals come through quickly. His come through quickly, and other people drag on for hours, like me.
Okay, so Richard, your name is not similar to a lot of people. If somebody comes into my store and their name is John Smith, I know for a fact they're going to get delayed. People with common names will get delayed every single time. And people with unusual names generally will go through. But the way that the system works in Virginia is that the dealer keys the information into the computer or calls it to the state police. And it goes into a computer system. They put in your name, and if you give your social security, they put that in. They put in your date of birth, where you were born, and a few other details. If there are no hits whatsoever, the computer will just automatically kick out a number. That's the instant background check. That's how it's supposed to work. If there's any flags whatsoever, the computer will go to the next stage and may be able to resolve it. And there'll be a short delay there, but the computer will still kick out an approval number and the sale will go through. If there are delays that the computer cannot resolve, then a human must look at that particular case and dig into computer files, and it goes into what's called research. So if it's like the Chantilly gun show going on that weekend, that can take hours or sometimes even overnight. If you are an alien with a green card that's buying a gun, you are guaranteed to be delayed overnight because they have to check with INS. So that's a short story about how the system works.
Mine goes through before I'm even done signing my name.
Now, was he asking that, or was he asking? It sounded to me like he might have been asking that the sometimes his background checks are instant, and sometimes they take a delay. And I would just say the easiest way to explain that is the system is unreliable.
That too. And if the dealer happens to key in something wrong on the social security number or license number or date of birth or something like that, that's going to be an automatic delay as well.
I always recommend to people to never give their social security number. It's not meant to be used for identification. It's to be used as a tax ID. How many Bruce Jacksons were born in that state, in that city, on that date? Very few. So I think just with name, place of birth, date of birth, they should be able to get 99% of it. They
should. Michael wants to know about using the honorable discharge. Yes, you can use your DD 214 as proof of training for your concealed handgun permit. You can also use a hunter's education class, by the way.
To get a concealed handgun permit in Virginia, you need to prove competency to the county clerk in the county in which you live or city. And there's certain ways to do that. If you've ever been military, armed security, as Pat said, taken a hunter safety course compatible with the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries in Virginia, ever previously held a permit in the Commonwealth, taking a class from an NRA instructor or an approved institution, or you're just good friends with the judge. However, let me tell you that, one of our only safety valves in government is organizations within the government don't play well together. So any information you give one, other organizations within the government don't know about it. So yes, you can use your DD 214, but I would highly recommend, I wear two hats. As instructor, I would highly recommend that you take a class, because just because you've been clearing houses overseas doesn't necessarily mean you know the nuances of carry in Virginia. So you're better served to take a class. And why does the county clerk need to know that you're a veteran anyway? To me, it's a privacy issue as well.
All right, we had a question about the bump stock lawsuit. It's still percolating. These things they don't happen overnight, unfortunately. Even when we tool up to do a lawsuit, it can take a while before anything's ready. We're doing a little tooling right now, but it takes time for things to come out. So,
especially with COVID.
Yeah,
it takes money too. So if anybody wants to help us with our lawsuits, VCDL.org/donate. You can donate both to the general fund of the VCDL, or you can choose to donate to the Political Action Committee. And I had a nice half-hour long conversation with our PAC chair today, and she said to please be sure to mention that you can donate to the PAC. So there you go, Kathy.
Yeah, we're just like all of you. We're a little fed up with this local government gun control thing. Very fed up with that. So stay tuned. Let's see. Yeah, William Tanzel's pointing out that the Virginia Tech murderer and the Marjorie Stone Douglas murderer all passed background checks. So again, it's a waste of time. I'll tell you what. When I was growing up, they didn't have background checks at all. We had no school shootings. You could go into a hardware store and pick up a gun while you were there.
You could order one from the Sears catalog.
Have it shipped to your house.
Have it sent to your house.
A rifle from World War II, even, or World War I. Have it shipped right to your house with ammo and everything. And no school shootings, no mass public shootings, none of that. So when we started the background checks, when things started really going downhill, isn't that odd? But of course, there's a lot more to that time frame in history, including putting our kids on Ritalin and stuff. I think that's got a lot to do with what happened in the 60s and 70s. It wasn't guns, actually the 70s and 80s. So,
yes, the permit from another state is proof of training as well.
So Kelly Foster said she was trained by Bruce Jackson. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Might have to seek retraining, or that's one of Bruce's other 5 accounts.
You have our sympathies.
And Joe and Beth is asking if I'm the store guy, and yes, I am.
Can't you tell?
We just changed it. We changed it to stuff. Store stuff.
Yes, he is the stuff guy.
Well, that's true, because it's more than the store. Let's put it this way. If 4 people show up at my door and say they have an event and they want to set up a VCDL table, I can give them tables, tablecloths, banner systems, hand carts, tubs, and materials to fill the tubs. You leave fully equipped. And I can give you a scraper so you can get the stickers off the floor as people drop them. So, yeah, we try to cover everything.
And you don't have to be a store to get stuff. Like I had a restaurant that I go to all the time. And the gentleman that runs this restaurant is constantly talking to people about gun rights and his gun and shooting and whatever. And I'm like, you need a stack of brochures to talk about VCDL and hand out applications since you're such an advocate. And he's like, I don't have any. So moments later, I got a tracking number from Bruce Board and the stuff to send a pack of brochures to the guy. So all of you guys out there need to be doing the same type of thing and do like the Revlon commercial. You tell 2 people and they'll tell 2 people, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah, I see one.
Tell them about putting their membership number in the form.
To show that you're the person that referred them in the form. You can get
Yes,
all the
sir.
forms and put like, I'm the person that got this member.
Yep. So Bruce, do you want to talk about the Adopt a Store program?
Not necessarily in this venue, because this is members and non-members. I would say you can resend that email, and that just goes to members, because we only want members doing that.
Okay.
Well, if you're not a member and you want to do it, how would you join this organization, Bruce?
It's so tough.
He just throws them up and I'll hit him down. I bet there's a website like
There's several
VCDL.org.
ways you can-
VCDL.org/join.
That would be my first guess.
$25 a year would be the next answer to your next question.
I see a
Best
couple.
$25 you ever spent.
See a couple other things up here. Someone else pointing out they have a very uncommon last name and they still had to wait 3 hours. Like Pat said, it could just be that they were just busy that day. The system was overloaded.
Yeah.
I mean, record sales. I mean, they're continuing to set records every month. People, when they can find guns, are buying them. So
Right.
I think that was just bad luck. It could be somebody with your name being even uncommon could have committed a crime somewhere at some point.
It can be any number of things. I own a gun store. I go through background checks with the FBI and the ATF all the time, and I get delayed when I buy a gun from my own gun store. How silly is that? But
Not sure you can be trusted.
there is that. But
Girls
if you
can
are
buy
a
guns?
person
Wow.
all the time, dear.
That's dangerous.
Yes. And girls shoot better too.
I thought it was dangerous.
But anyway, if you are a person that is delayed all the time, you can apply for a UPIN, which is a unique personal identification number. Contact the state police and ask them about that. And what you do when you fill out your form is you put that little number that they give you on the 4473 and the SP65, and it tells them that you're not whatever person with the same name that committed all those terrible acts.
I did see there's two questions here I think are interesting. One would be Pat's bailiwick, and the other was somebody asking about having a Delaware and a Pennsylvania permit. Would that work as proof of training? No, be up to a judge. A judge could look at that on a one-to-one basis and say, yeah, well, I'll accept your Delaware permit as proof of training. It'd be totally up to the judge. The law does not give any special deference to a permit other than a Virginia permit as proof of training.
So the question about when you purchase a gun at a gun store, does the gun store keep the serial number? Yes, we are required to keep the serial number and who bought it for 20 years. If the dealer goes out of business, those records either go to the other dealer that buys out the dealer going out of business, or they go to the ATF. So a lot of times they're turned over to the ATF and they get stuck in a warehouse, supposedly for doing trace. And they're not supposed to digitize that information, although I expect that will change. This is one of the dangers of that universal background check bill, because what it's doing is creating a de facto registration that's maintained by the dealers instead of being maintained by the government. And when the original background check law was passed on the federal level, the way that it got through was because personal sales were not required to go through the background check. And that's what prevented there being a gun registration, because there was a lot of talk in Congress about we don't want to have a gun registration and facilitate confiscation down the line. So I guess people have forgotten about that. And there's more and more push for that universal background check, which would create a registration.
Yeah, and that's because they were hoping we'd forget. I know they didn't forget. They want that registration. They want that confiscation, and that's why they want universal background checks. We certainly put up a we tried educating everybody about those for years before they came up in Virginia, because we knew it was coming. Obviously, I guess we didn't do a good enough job. It managed to get through. So, but anything they do, we can undo unless it's federal. So, given time in a battle. There was also a question about Roanoke Gun Show. We can do anything to stop this. Well, I would just say stay tuned on that. First of all, Roanoke Gun Show has a contract, so I think they're going to run at least till the end of the year. If they don't, then they can bring lawsuit for breach of contract. I mean, how stupid could Roanoke be? Well, pretty stupid. I don't think we know that. So, but again, we're working on a variety of things. We're not sitting idly on this, but things have to be done in a certain way, and things take time, and some things we can't talk about till they're ready. So.
Right. So Sam's asking, what benefits do you get from joining VCDL? Other than a warm and fuzzy feeling, for $25 a year, you're helping to fund lawsuits, like the lawsuit against the bump stock. You do get a warm and fuzzy feeling, don't you, Bruce? You get a quarterly newsletter that is mailed to your house. Speaking
of, let me interrupt you for a second, because the newsletter is written by Tess Elshire, who is in chat under an incognito name. I saw it earlier, but I'll call her out in a second once I see it. But thanks again to Tess for doing that newsletter. It's done very nicely and very well. And that is who is KBA.
And she's passing that along.
Yeah, KBA 1625 in the chat. So thanks again, Tess. Sorry.
So as a member, you also get access to the members only side of our website, which leads me into another topic, which I'll touch on briefly here. We are moving soon to a new website. So there will be a new look and feel that will change gradually in the next few months. But we're hoping to offer more features on the members only side of the website, and different things to give you added value for your membership. Also, there are businesses out there that give discounts to VCDL members. A lot of them have stopped right now due to COVID, but there are others that are interested in signing up. So Ed has been working on that, and watch for updates on the website about that as well.
Yeah, there will be updates. So if you get 10-15% off at a store, and you go buy a couple pair of 511 pants that are normally $50-$60, and you get 10-15% off, just being a member at VCDL will save you the cost of being a member of VCDL. So we'll have in the past, we had a pretty big list of restaurants and things like that. We had some people that kind of abused the system, and they put a discount in for 20 different things that they had their hand in the bucket for. So in discussing with Philip and making a decision, it will there'll be a small fee to be listed in the store that we hope you will make up tenfold in the amount of VCDL traffic that comes to your business and wants you to do the discount. But with the website change, with COVID, with things like that, we've just kind of delayed that. But to circle back, as some people say, to the original question, that will be one of the things that you will be able to take part of as a VCDL member, because you'll have to show your membership card to get that discount. You walk up to the proprietor who normally shows you the normal price, you flash this baby, and this is like free money. And it has a shooter's wheel on the back, so tell you why you're shooting wrong or shooting right.
So what do you do with that, Bruce? You pin it up on a target and shoot at it? I see Virginia Woolf commented that
you can, and if you put it at 100 yards and hit it, send me a copy.
Virginia Wolf.
If there's anything out there that you really need us, if you really need us to know something and put it out on social media, you can send it to me at socialmedia@vcdl.org. Or if it's something that an idea that you have that you want to share with the board, you can send it to leadership@vcdl.org. We are your organization and we work for you.
And yes, VCDL is still a part of CMP. So that does qualify you for the CMP purchases as if you're a VCDL member.
Yeah,
Bill, that is a great comment.
And Virginia Wolf, I hope your father is okay. Apparently he's in the hospital. And they jumped on here real quick. Let's see.
I would tell Bill Osby, just stay tuned to the alert and other announcements that has been discussed and being worked on.
I'd like to field that one from Bill as a, not speaking for the organization, but speaking as a board member. I've always spoken against life memberships. And the reason I believe that it's important in my mind is that by dealing with the VCDL on an annual basis, there's two things. A lot of people include donations every year when they renew, which really helps. I mean, money drives change in our society, so the money helps. But the other thing is it keeps us hungry. We don't rest on our laurels. We keep pushing because every year your membership is basically a vote saying, I like the way the organization's going, keep it up. So that is part of why I don't like life memberships as that goes. I mean, I'm a life member of a bunch of other organizations because they offer it. But here at the VCDL, as a board member, I like to be kept hungry. I like to be kept wanting. I'm looking at me, you wouldn't believe that. Basically, based on the fact that I want to make sure that I'm earning your money every year, every day, not just that one time that you got arrested, you spent a bunch of cash, and now we don't even talk to you anymore. So just my thoughts on it. Oh, and just as a side note, Kelly, thank you. I didn't realize it was 14 years ago, but I'm glad you made it.
Amazing.
Bruce, why don't you answer that one too?
All right. Basically, what it was is the distribution of materials for Lobby Day was just the only way we could get stuff out in time. We ordered 21,000 car flags, and the boxes that they were supposed to come in were roughly about 24 by 24 by 10, I think is what I was told. And when they showed up, the boxes were 1 by 1 by 70. And I spent just several days trying to get it shipped out. So we got it to all the stores as best we could for Lobby Day. But we had never planned for the stores to try to sell the material. We hadn't been putting it in stores for two reasons. One, the store is due a cut for their space and their effort just to stock it and everything else. And we understand that. And we try not to negatively impact businesses, but we also like to, it's a gun store owner, any store owner is there to make the business go. And anytime they spend dealing with our stuff, it is to a certain point pulling away from the business. That's why we try to do everything through the website and other ways, because we want to give those businesses that are pro-gun the best chance of succeeding. So we've pretty much kept it local. Now, there have been a couple of gun stores in the past that basically just wrote us a check for large quantities, and we went ahead and sent it to them, and they stocked it. What you're actually seeing now is materials that were sent out for Lobby Day, and the store that got them, or if it transferred from one store to another, because some things did, At some point, one of the store owners decided, hey, I want to sell this, and let us know. So instead of us sending labels so they could send it back to us, they kept it and they priced it and they are selling it. So this was just kind of a decision that the store owners made with the following lobby day material, and that's why it's there.
Yeah, hopefully we can get lobby day material for next year out, and now that we have some heads up on this, and make it so it'll be easier for those of you that need it by next lobby day to get it. Question on ghost guns. Yeah, that's another one of the battles that we're going to be fighting federally and at the state level for a while now. That's the latest thing that the gun control crowd has their eyes on. In Virginia, we defeated the bill that would have been a quote unquote ghost gun. Again, that's their terminology, totally made up. The guy that made up the term is a California congressman or something like that, or he may have been in the state government in California. And he clearly had no idea anything about firearms. He was interviewed, and it was clear he had no idea what he was doing. But he liked the name ghost gun because I guess he thought people were afraid of ghosts. I don't know. I always thought the ghost gun was maybe one of the guns that got lost at the bottom of a river and somehow magically reappeared in your house a little bit rusty. But they're definitely trying to target this. They can't stand the thought that the government, again, this is what Pat was talking about earlier, universal background checks. The government knows every gun you've got eventually, because at some point, if it's sold or transferred, they're going to have a record somewhere of that they can get their hands on. But these ghost gun things, that's scary to them, because here we go. Even though crimes are rarely committed.
Yeah, people should be afraid of common sense gun laws too.
Yeah. Well, and of course, one of their arguments is, well, the gun's untraceable. Well, guns aren't traced till after a crime typically, so it's not going to change crime at all.
There's no value added to trace.
Yeah, and if you stab somebody to death, the knife doesn't have a serial number that's traceable. What difference does that make? It's the same thing.
And even if they trace it, it doesn't necessarily. It almost never, in fact, leads back to the criminal. What it leads back to is 99% of the time it leads back to the rightful owner from whom that gun was stolen in the first place.
Or sold a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's all feel-good stuff.
It is.
No, it's registration stuff to take away gun stuff.
Yeah, that too.
There's no feel-good about it.
I really want to caution people against using and perpetuating the terminology that's used against us. For instance, if there's a mass murder, don't call it a mass shooting, call it a mass murder. And don't call the criminal, the assailant, a shooter. I mean, I'm a shooter. I shoot competitively. Well, I used to shoot competitively when I had time before I had a gun store. But a shooter is a law-abiding person that shoots for recreation or for whatever valid reason. A murderer is somebody that that goes around and kills people for ill intent. So ghost guns, again, that terminology is used to demonize something that is perfectly legitimate. It has always been legal to make a gun in this country. And I mean, think about it. If we had had ghost gun laws way back when, we wouldn't have Colt firearms or Remington or Smith & Wesson or any of the major firearm manufacturers that we have today. All of those people started out making guns before they had the need to make the guns.
Yeah, we wouldn't have Ed Levine's.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one, oh yeah, there we go. All fixed up, very American of you. There's one from John Saxon you could answer. What are we doing to prepare for the inevitable deplatforming by Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc.?
Yeah, so here's what's going on. And this could be a 2-hour show in itself, but the bottom line is we've run the Facebook page and group for 10 years. We have 65,000 followers on the page and 20,000 in the group. The page kind of works like the alert. It's kind of one way that myself and leadership and the board put out something that we want you to see or think would be interesting, not always about Virginia, usually about gun rights or something one of our gun owners of America or Colin Noyar or something's interesting that we put on the page. Then you can comment on what we put on the page. Then we have the group, which is members that want to talk, not members of VCDL, but members of the Facebook group that's open to anybody, that they basically agree to follow the rules of Facebook, follow the laws of federal and Virginia, and only post about Virginia and gun rights. All of that was going well, moving along fine. It started getting a little nasty as we got to an election a couple years ago. So at that point, we decided and we added 10 volunteers to moderate the group to make sure that people weren't saying tar and feather people or lynch these people or whatever else. So every post that came through was looked at by moderators and approved or not approved and warned. Then comes the election this last time around, and even sharing our own Facebook Live or our VCDL live meeting like this, we shared it to our own group and were immediately warned by Facebook that this is bad content. And then what happened was all of the administrators, Philip, Pat, myself, and all the volunteers all got their personal Facebook shut down in addition to our page and our group. The next day we talked to Facebook. I was on NBC or Fox Morning News. We talked about it, and magically all these accounts that were never to come back came back. And then our page and our group came back too. But anytime we did anything, we were instantly warned again, like we're walking on eggshells. That brings me to Glenn Davis. Well, Glenn Davis, who's also running for lieutenant governor. He has some contacts that he said, let me work with you on this. And basically him working with our contacts restored our personal accounts. So our baby pictures and grandkids and what we eat every day and our gun show stuff from our store, all of that was put back to normal. So now we're in the mode where we want to get kind of some confirmation that they're going to leave us alone and let us do what we do because we're following the rules. And once we get that, the plan is to bring the Facebook page back and the group back eventually as well. Meanwhile, we're on 15 other different platforms, and you can go to tiny.cc/VCDL social media and see all those platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Parler, we're on MeWe. You know, daily I get an email saying, hey, you guys should join MeWe. You should be on Parler. You should be on Twitter or not be on Twitter. And we're on all of them. So, you know, we're on Reddit, we're on LinkedIn. I mean, and eventually we'll be broadcasting live to LinkedIn too. So I know that was kind of a long answer, but I get that question a lot. So there you go.
I see that there's some questions here also about Lobby Day next year. Again, we're looking at options about how we may do things next year. It will probably be different than we did this year and different than usual because I don't know when usual will come back. It may be a while. The way the things have been, they've done whatever they could possibly think of doing to try to silence us. Obviously, we're not going to let them succeed in that, but we're going to have to be flexible in how we get the word out. And we're looking at some options. So I expect next year might be a little bit different than this year, or it could be some kind of a hybrid. We're just going to see. But trust us, trust me, we're looking at this, and we will have something going for next Lobby Day. We're not going away.
We'll be doing it on our terms, not on theirs.
Yeah, and really was kind of what we did this year.
Mm-hmm.
They had no control over that car caravan. Although they did manage to chop up the streets in Richmond pretty bad to make it so that the caravans had to do a hula hoop to get through the town towards the end. But maybe we'll have a solution for that too.
Yeah, but they could not stop had to be millions of people that saw all of the vehicles coming from all over the state. And I heard from people that came in my shop and said that they had gotten in with the caravan coming down 95, and we're just amazed. I don't know how they didn't realize it was going on, but they didn't know ahead of time. But when they saw the caravan, they sure knew that something was up. So, but anyway, yeah, we will be doing lobby day. They're not going to stop us. They're not going to silence us, and we will do it on our terms.
Yep. Have some questions about ammo. We get that every time because it's a valid question. It's driving everybody crazy trying to find ammunition right now. When will it become available again? Well, it's available, but you got to pay the price.
Right.
So it is out there. It's just that it's not out there at prices that we like, but at least it is available if you know where to look. And there are a whole bunch of search engines and stuff that can help you find ammunition. You just have to be prepared to cough up a lot more money than you would normally like to do. But at least you can get it. Nothing worse than not having it at all. But
yeah, you have to plan ahead and go online because you know you can't count on it being at your local store. So
some prices are coming down on something. I'm starting to see things coming in a little cheaper. Right now, we're starting to see more of the, for example, the ammo that's steel cased, stuff from Wolf Ammo and Tula and stuff. That's starting to come in, and those prices are still high for steel case, but they're down quite a bit from a lot of the other brands that are brass.
I got a call at the store today from somebody that was on the online forum for the range that I belong to, and they'd seen a post where I said something about having some Tula ammo, and the post was from 2012. It's like, that's been gone a little while.
Yeah, this is good prices. Look at that.
I haven't heard of that. Is that girls' ammo?
Say that again.
I didn't hear it. I've never heard of Tula ammo. Is that girls' ammo?
Yeah, it is. It's that Russian girls' ammo.
It's made in Tulsa, but they dropped the S off.
Yeah. So we did have a question earlier about are we expanding into Southwest Virginia? We are in Southwest Virginia. As a matter of fact, Al Steed, one of our board members, also does all the gun shows down in that part of the state, and he has a very active group of volunteers down there. And before COVID, they were holding meetings down there on a fairly regular basis. He does have a Southwest Virginia email list, so you can contact him through the gun shows. If you go on the VCDL website to the Contact Us page, which is under the About tab, and look down at the list of gun shows, Al's contact information is on there. If you just hover over the hyperlink, it will show up. You can right click on it and copy the email address and then paste it into your email program.
Yeah, I've seen the prices of 22, by the way. I've been seeing some of it. It's coming down. I'm seeing more of the 22 out there dropping in price. So there's the manufacturers are going to catch up. There's too much money to be made not to be cranking out ammo as fast as they can. And that eventually will start the reversal. But unfortunately, I wish I could tell you when this is going to reverse. I mean, you look again at who's controlling both the state and the federal right now, and it's not looking good for ammo prices until something starts to reverse here.
That's another reason that we don't fire warning shots.
Yeah, I can't afford them. yeah, bad guy's about to stab you. I go, damn, I really don't want to have to shoot you, man, because it's too expensive. Just
That's
put the
a joke.
knife
We don't
down
fire
and go.
warning. We don't fire warning shots anyway.
That's true. You don't ever want to do that.
Yeah, warning shots are definitely bad form. If you're pulling that gun out, it's because you intend to use it for real.
And if you don't,
not just
if you don't have a legal plan, I suggest you go to VCDL.org and look under our website tab where we do a review of all the different legal plans that you can look at to pick one for you. Some of them are $10 a month, that basically if you do have to have a shooting, that you've got some legal help, because it's going to, even if you're in the right, it's going to cost a lot of money.
So let's talk a little bit about hardware. So I saw it today. I'm a SIG P365 owner. I own quite a few of those, and so they now have come out with the 365, which is their pocket pistol. They now have one that you can get that's milled, and you can put is that a 365? The three, okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, they now have the short one, the regular, that's the XL. They now have what they call the X model that just came out. And the X is the same size as the micro compact, but it has provisions for a sight on it, red dot sights. So the Romeo Zero works.
Red dot.
It's for I think $300, you can get a new slide if you've got one of those and you want it. I mean, I've really gotten to like red dots on firearms. They're fast acquisition. The older you get, the harder it is for your eyes to focus on three sights, trying to line them up. Just putting a dot on something is a whole lot easier and a whole lot more accurate. So I just throw that out there. I've gotten more and more of my guns and starting to convert over to optics on them.
Who says I ever used sights to begin with?
Well, I don't think you do. just kind of keep shooting until you hit what you're trying to hit.
Those are speed bumps.
Well, plus, I've seen
Area of effect is a valid response.
I've never used them, but I've seen glasses that have the magnifiers on the top of the glasses instead of the readers on the bottom, so that you can see the sights better. They're basically readers, but for shooting. Never used them.
Never heard of that. That makes sense.
Yeah, if you
my
wear
latest
glasses and you wear bifocals, they do have some optometrists. Before Philip shows his new prize, they do have some optometrists that you go to. If you know an optometrist that's a shooter, they will do the vision so that the bifocal line has the sights on the bottom and the target on the top, which gives you that vision that you need for shooting.
That's cool. I never thought about that. Yeah, that would work. Yeah. So,
or you can go with Philip's high-tech method here.
Yeah. This will keep my dogs quiet. But no, this was a gift from one of our members. Anyhow, so
just don't put it to your shoulder.
Yeah, I guess yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't work anyhow. Talk about a bullpup. Yeah. So one of our members named Andrea down in Tidewater gave me that. Let's see. Well,
hey, Philip, just so you know, I told somebody that
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Philip, I did tell somebody that on a real serious note, I said that particular firearm that you just showed, that a lot of pastors were getting them because of COVID. And they looked at me and said, why are they getting those because of COVID? I said, well, they're doing drive-by baptisms.
Yeah,
you're bad, Bruce.
Next time I see you, Bruce, I'll give you a baptism.
Well, hey, the sad part was you listened.
So an hour has gone by since we started, and I hit everything on my checklist. Is there anything that we need to talk about to wrap, or should we just keep on
I'm
yapping?
just skimming real quick to see if there are any questions that jump out at me that we might want to address. It gives members a chance to communicate with the board.
I will, while Philip's looking, I'm going to give a plug for the new website. In the next few weeks, we will be moving over to a new website. And so everybody that's a member will be getting an email with instructions on how to log into the new website. Those of you that are on recurring payments, those will not transfer over. I'm sorry, you'll have to reset that up again. But we are trying to get a better system going for you and offer you more member benefits. So we're excited about the move, and we hope you enjoy the new features.
And we've all been in hours of training, literally hours of training for the new website.
Yes. This has been a long process. I actually started this about this time last year.
And for those who don't know, on behalf of everybody on the board, members, executive members, or whatever, this is for Pat Webb.
Yeah.
Now, everybody has had a hand in it. And, the whole thing about VCDL, the reason that it works is because people pitch in. And I actually did an interview earlier this week. Tess had referred me. There's a woman she's a professor in a university in Alabama, and she's doing research on women gun owners. And she's a gun owner herself and enjoys shooting. And she was talking to me as well as other women about why we got into guns, why we carry guns, and that sort of thing. And she asked me about VCDL and why it was successful and why it works. And the thing is, VCDL works because all of you guys, you contact your county supervisors, you contact the senators and delegates, you write letters to the editor, you do things to affect change and to block bad laws that they're trying to pass. All of our executive members are executive members because they put in extra effort and they're willing to pay double dues. They had been volunteering on a regular basis and stepping up more than the average member in order to be nominated for executive members. And then they're approved by the board after they show their mettle. And then they continue to put in extra time. Tess, who's on here, for the last 2 years, she has organized buses and things for Lobby Day. She's been the editor of the Defender for decades, I suppose. And she's handing that baton over to somebody else who's stepping up and volunteering. Ed is our social media director, and believe me, he works 24/7, 365. I would not want your job, Ed. So, and he catches flack from all sides, but at the same time, we really appreciate what he does. He's the one that keeps us on Facebook when we're on there. He's the one that puts together these virtual meetings so that we can still interact with you guys sort of one-on-one while all of these COVID restrictions are in effect. So VCDL, my point here is that VCDL is what it is because of each and every individual person who joins forces, locks arms, and works for a common mission, regardless of how we feel about other things, regardless of our politics, regardless of our personal preferences. We're here for one thing and one thing only, and that is gun rights in Virginia. And under that common flag, we all stand together and work together to get the job done.
Thanks for the kind words, Pat. Speaking of letters to the editor that you touched on and getting involved, Philip, do you want to touch real quick on Paul Moog, what he did? Because he was the founder of the Northern Virginia Citizens Defense League, and he did something that we mentioned in the alert, and I'll have Philip tell you about that.
Yeah, well, again, this is an example of grassroots activism. So, he was looking at, for example, the concealed handgun permit fees up in Culpeper County. And right next door in Orange County, the fees there are $15, but Culpeper's it's $50. So, the circuit court clerks are elected. So he got behind one who said, the circuit court clerk candidate for the election coming up, said he would, if he got in, he would drop that price down to the minimum, which is $15 instead of $50. So Paul got behind him, is helping push him along to get him elected. He got a letter to the editor printed talking about that. And that in turn will get more people energized who are tired of the government charging us for something that basically is a right anyhow, that we shouldn't even have we shouldn't have to get a piece of paper. But if we do, that piece of paper should be free. So that's an example. You can getting behind candidates, finding somebody that's pro-gun, helping with their campaign, writing letters to the editor about them, whatever it takes to get them in and the bad person out. Let's see, a couple other things. I have updated the existing website with the latest localities to get local gun control. So I do it right away. So if you go up there, you'll see, for example, Roanoke City. I've already got it listed. Now, those don't become effective, these ordinances, until the signs go up. And again, almost all of them have said they're going to treat their local gun control like trespass. So if you screw up, you get a warning, and you won't be charged as long as you take your gun and leave. So if you're carrying concealed and they see your gun, well, in my opinion, shame on you. Do a good job on concealment. But same thing with Roanoke. There was an interview there. I think it was with the city attorney, who said, "Yeah, if somebody's seen, we'll give them a chance to take their gun out of the area." So, but the turnout was not something to be proud of that we had that night. We had like 5 or 6 people, and they had like 3 times that many on the other side. We cannot get complacent. We can't sit back and expect somebody else to carry our water. That's what happened in Roanoke. Now, part of it, people are saying, well, Roanoke City really doesn't have probably as many gun owners as Roanoke County. Yeah, Roanoke County is going to be very different. But still, I can pretty much guarantee a lot of those people speaking didn't come from Roanoke City. They did business there. They came in there or whatever. We need to look at an attack on any part of our rights in this state as an attack on all of us. We have to do that. We have to step up our game. We have to stand in unity. Whether we live in a locality or not, we need to stand in unity to fight this off. There's other ways to fight it, but that's just one key way. Ed?
Let me address Jason King for 2 questions. Number one, he asked about the gun show in Chantilly. And my friend Annette owns that show, and she just gets a lot of flack. I mean, it's one of the biggest shows on the East Coast, and she gets a lot of flack from the COVID, the Karens, the governor, and everything else. So people are always posting like, you guys should move the show to West Virginia, or you should cancel it altogether, or you should hold it in the parking lot against their will. Well, those are all great ideas, except they want the show in Northern Virginia. The vendors are not going to sit out in the parking lot and get rained on and have literally tens of thousands of dollars of equipment out there and try and do it with tents in the weather and whatnot. So they be working with the COVID and working with everybody. They postponed it again, and now they're on track for April. And with the state opening things up again, they're confident that can happen. Now, of course, I don't know how they can have hot tub shows that are okay, but gun shows are not. But they got lawyers and they're working on all that stuff. So stay patient with that. The second question Jason King had was, we need outreach to new Americans. And we agree. We set up our booth at gun shows, and we're talking to gun owners all the time. And we do have outreach where we want people to set up booths, VCDL booths, to recruit members and talk about the organizations at all at spring festivals and fun flings and things like that, where you're talking to just Joe Blow and Mary Public instead of just gun owners at a gun show. That's where we need to get out and do that reach out. And it's not Republicans against Democrats, it's gun owners. We have got you asked about ammo earlier. Why is there ammo shortage? I'll tell you why. Because a lot of first-time gun owners are Democrats that see the police forces being deteriorated, that seeing the economy and things going kind of rough, and they're going out and they're like, man, no one's going to protect me except the person in my mirror. So they're buying guns.
Right. So what Ed was talking about is same as what I was talking about. If you have a community festival, if you we had a beer festival, we have a local wine festival, we have a Heritage Day in our community. Volunteers from VCDL set up booths at these events. And if this is something that you want to do, if you want to man a booth for a festival in your community, contact Bruce at vcdl.org. It's really hard to remember. And let him know what you need, when the festival is. He will get with you and get you a kit so that you can set up a booth and spread the word. And it doesn't have to, the festival doesn't have to have anything to do with guns. In fact, not having something to do with guns is the best way to reach people that wouldn't necessarily go to a gun show. Before I got involved with VCDL, one of the things that I used to do was hold Ladies' Day at the range. And I would actually go to my local shopping mall because that's where women hung out. And I would talk to women and say, hey, we're having a day at the range where women can come and shoot for free and learn how to shoot and try IDPA and try cowboy action and try skeet shooting. And we had volunteer safety officers that would talk to them about how the guns work and how the different shooting disciplines work. And they would always have a blast. We had people that donated ammo and people that loaned their guns and taught a lot of women to shoot that way. So got them interested in shooting sports. But
looks like KMAC Radio is going to host a hot cocoa festival. So KMAC, just let us know when and where that is.
And Angry Gyrene gave me an idea. I'm going to get some saline solution to put in here, and then I'll have a salt weapon.
Well, there is a assault rifle that shoots flies. It shoots
I've got that. I've got one. That's what Connor got me one of those. And I have birds. I have some macaws and a cockatoo. And sometimes the bird food will bring in moths that are hidden in the seed. And I've used that thing. It's wonderful. I use it for moths, and it shoots salt. So it doesn't hurt anything. Doesn't leave a mark on the wall or anything. Just a tiny amount. Basically, it's a little salt shotgun. And, so those are cool. If you got a fly or a moth problem, buy one of those.
Yep.
Assault.
Assault.
Yep.
Assault. All right. Well, that's all I had, everybody.
Yeah. There's so many of these comments. I can't even. I mean, I'm so far from the end. It's incredible. We'd be here all night. So yeah, we'll pick up. We'll do this again. I appreciate everybody coming out. I saw all the people that were checking in from out of state, supporters from New York and everywhere else. Always like to see that. There's some wonderful people out there all across this country, and a lot of them that will come down here and help us out in Virginia. I think that's wonderful.
Yep.
Make sure you share this video on your own social media. It will be posted on our YouTube channel right after it ends. So repost it and share it so people can see what we're all about.
Yep. And they can listen while they're commuting. Of course, you don't want to watch while you're driving, but you can listen in the vehicle.
You can listen while you're computing as well as commuting.
You can.
Yep. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good.
Good night.